Welcome, everyone. My name is Torres Legend. Thank you so much for joining us in our fifth episode of the SAP Garage series. Today's mission, we're going to be focusing on keep the core clean using SAP Build Apps with SAP S/4HANA. If you want to access the link in the Discovery Center mission, we'll provide the link to you right after this session. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce my colleagues, Ilya Belozerov, Senior Product Specialist at SAP, and Sangeeta Jayakumar, BTP Product Experts, who will be our presenters for today. Before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that if you are going to be in at any of the Sapphires, so the Orlando Sapphire will be on between May the 16th and 17th. The Barcelona Sapphire will be between May the 24th and the 25th. And the Sao Paulo Sapphire will be between June 1st and June 2nd. So we hope to see you at one of these upcoming Sapphire events. Also, if you're interested in joining us at our other community sessions, monthly sessions, apart from the Garage series, we have the SAP Screen Personas Practitioners Forum, the SAP Fiori Practitioners Forum, if you're interested in anything around the UX. Also, the SAP Business Technology Platform Practitioners Forum. These are hosted the third Thursday of every month and the third Tuesday of every month, respectively. And then finally, as we're going to be covering SAP Build today, we just started the new Practitioners Forum, SAP Build Practitioners Forum, which is held every second Tuesday of every month. So if you're interested in joining any one of these forums, please do let me know. Send me an email, and I'll send you the link for you to register yourselves. Also, our next Garage series will be held on the 7th of June, Wednesday, the 7th of June, and the mission we're going to be covering then will be synchronize account data between SAP S/4HANA and third-party CRM. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Sangeeta and Ilya to continue with our mission.
Thank you, Taurus. So let me try to share my screen first.
Throughout the presentation, if you have any specific questions, please do type your questions in the chat. Both Sangeeta and Ilya will be responding to your questions as they come in. Thanks. Go ahead, Sangeeta.
Do you see my screen?
Yes, I see your screen. Yeah.
Okay, great. Good morning or good evening, everyone. Thank you, Taurus, for the warm introduction. Today, I'm Sangeeta Jayakumar. I have Ilya, my colleague. We are from SAP BTP, from end-to-end scenario enablement team. We will walk you through the mission of how you can use the low-code, no-code offering from SAP to quickly build your enterprise-ready applications. So today, I would give a quick introduction of what do we mean by keeping the core clean and why is it important for you to understand. And then I would also introduce the SAP Build offering from SAP, and then I would walk you through the mission scenario and the different steps. And you would also see a nice demo covering end-to-end. You would also have enough time for us to answer your questions. So why do we need to keep the core clean? So as you can see here, SAP tries to combine all the unique business requirements from different industries and companies and try to put it as part of the standard SAP solution. So this, I would like to call it as a delivered scope. At the same time, there is still some requirements which is still unique to a customer. It is really required for his business, but it's not part of the SAP standard. So there you see we have some required scope and the uncovered scope part of the, which is not part of the SAP standard. This puts us a unique opportunity for you as a customer or a partner to use this unique competitive advantage and quickly build enterprise-ready applications. For example, you want to reach your end business users with a marketing campaign. For example, you have a workshop, you want to, you have a very nice innovative idea, you want to quickly build some applications. How do you do that? if you could do that today on SAP BTP with the low code, no code offering, and then you could quickly realize the requirements coming from your potential business partners or end customers, and then collect them. And then you have a quick application. Maybe you want to give them some marketing discounts, or you want to have some programs for them. This is all possible with the no code offering from SAP. So you would like to do that as on BTP, but keep the core clean so that in the next upgrade cycle, so it's easy for you to still have the innovations all running on BTP and then consuming the data from your SAP system. This way you don't have n number of custom objects on the SAP, but all the innovations are here. So the update cycle is fine, and your S/4HANA is not getting all the load from so many different end customers. So let me walk through. As you see here, Business Technology Platform is a unified and open platform that combines several capabilities on one business-centric public cloud platform. So you can see that today we would concentrate on the application development part, where SAP provides a low-code, no-code offering for professional and citizen developers for enabling the quick enterprise-ready application, and you can accelerate your development time to value. So, and you also have other offerings from SAP, like process automation, SAP Build process automation, where you can automate your workflows and define different rules. For example, if the purchase order value is less than a certain amount, you want to auto approve some things, or if it's having a high risk, you want to notify a second level approver, or you want to send a mail to the recipient. There could be any number of scenarios which you could think of. So you could either trigger the workflow directly from your SAP Build Apps application, or also think of writing back to different LOB solutions like SuccessFactors, Ariba, or Fieldglass. That brings us to the next part of integration. So SAP provides you a nice integration option across different LOB solutions, which helps you to fetch data from different systems, and then you can combine it in your application. So for the end user, he doesn't realize the data is actually coming from various different systems, but he gets a unified view out of it. So there are pre-provided integration flows from SAP and predefined packages, which helps you to quickly integrate these systems, which brings also to the data and analytics part. DataSphere, you would know that our offering, which helps you combine all the data sources in one area, one database, HANA Cloud, and then you can build analytical dashboards on top. For example, for your financial CFO to see how was the risks and opportunities in the last month, or how was the sales, how was the spending in the last month, how is it in the future, and you would want to combine data from different systems again here, right? So you would want to bring the employee information from SuccessFactors. You would want to bring some data from your SAP backend, which has the data, and you also would have a HANA database, which has a lot of your enterprise data. So you can combine all of those and have a good analytical dashboard. And we have also an AI component, which has pre-built data models and AI models, which you can integrate in your SAP solution and quickly have it in your application. So this brings us then to the next slide, where we talk about why is no-code offering or no-code offering interesting for companies, right? So we want to bring your innovative idea quickly to the market, but you also want to have an enterprise-ready application, right? So it cannot be a POC. So here you see that professional developers, I would like to call them, who are like a cloud developers who have the ability to understand different cloud technologies, are used to different build tools, are used to developing applications and deploy them, run them, version them, and can also debug them. They are also aware of the end-to-end process of bringing an application from development, testing to production. So these developers are kind of less in the market due to high demand. And we also have a lot of business experts, so who know the end-to-end business process of your company very well. So you know where there are bottlenecks, where there are improvements which can be done, where there are manual delays. A person is going on vacation, then the process is in the paper lying for a week. So you know where there are bottlenecks, you want to improve them. And you don't want to spend all of your time and company's energy into learning all the cloud technologies. So we have from SAP, the SAP Build Apps, a quick intuitive tooling, which helps you to build a quick application with a drag and drop, and then you have your application ready, which you would also see it in the demo coming later. So as I said before, of course, you still need the professional developers for setting up your landscape, or maybe having your APIs ready in your SAP backend, or helping you with the connections. And for the business, once it's done, you can think of any number of applications, and you can quickly build them using SAP Build Apps, and you can also deliver the applications pretty fast. We have a lot of integration, which pre-built integration, which helps you fetch data from your SAP backends, which could even be running behind the firewall. So you would also see that today, how you could, as an end user, propagate your business user, company business user, from cloud to the backend, fetch your relevant data, and again, see it in your build apps. And you also want to scale without compromise, of course. So you would deploy it to the BTP, and you use the pre-available HTML5 repository, which takes care of all the complexities, and you as a citizen developer can quickly deploy your application and have it running quickly. So what is SAP Build offering from SAP? So as you can see here, SAP has grouped all our, combined all our low-code solutions, which enable the people or the business developers to quickly develop the applications into three parts, which is all grouped into one SAP Build umbrella. So you can see here, we have SAP Build Apps. Here you can build visually, and you can create enterprise applications with a quick drag and drop. You can use the 400 built-in formulas from Build Apps, so you can filter the information. So you don't want to show all the data coming from different backends, but you want to filter the information. Maybe you want to combine and filter the information, which is all possible quickly in the Build Apps. And you also want to integrate different backends seamlessly. So for the end user, it looks like a unified view from different systems, but it's actually running in different, coming from different systems. And you, as you saw before, we also have the SAP Build process automation, which would help you to automate the different business processes in your enterprise applications. And then you can decide to trigger them from your SAP Build Apps, for example. And of course, in the end, you want to not have the application running somewhere, but integrate into your company business site. So you have a company portal or business site, or your on-prem launchpad running in your SAP system. You integrate this application, and for the end user, he just clicks on the tile and feels like he's opening his application with his company user, but the data is actually coming from different backends, and the application actually is running on the cloud. So we would show you today how you can also securely set up the landscape for you to achieve this enterprise grade application. So today we'll more concentrate on the SAP Build Apps part of the umbrella, what you saw before. And SAP Build Apps helps you provide either standalone or mobile applications. And you have UI application logic editor, which you will see how you can quickly drag and drop and define different flows. I personally like to develop application because you can quickly do a preview and change some things and see how the logic between different pages would work on. You can define the data flow, how you want the data to be fetched. So it's pretty flexible and very intuitive. So you have to have a try after the session to get your hands dirty. And you can also see here that that is data modeling. So SAP Build Apps also has backend creation. So an application is a UI, but you also want to maybe store some intermediate data in the backend. So visually, you can create a simple data model with data tables, and then you can manage persistency. You can also create serverless functions with custom business logic using Build Apps. So assume a scenario where you want to fetch the data from your SAP backend, but you do not want to call every time the data from the different backends. So you fetch it once and write it into the persistence, and then you can call this into your application when on demand. And as I said, there are also a lot of pre-built formulas and helping you for the connectivity of REST and OData APIs to do the filtering, top 10 paging. There are a lot of documentation available in the AppGyver or the Build Apps community. So, and as I mentioned before, you can also in the end deploy your application into your work zone portal, company portal site. So we want to enable the business users to have a nice application with the intuitive tooling. So you can see that this way, you could have a quick UI, which is running in few days, and then you can integrate the data also coming from different API endpoints. It could be SAP endpoints like Ariba, SuccessFactors, SAP HANA, behind the firewall or the cloud system, or you could also have some third-party APIs. You have some consultants having some information, fetch it all into one UI. So there are pre-built accelerators defined for you, and there are UI templates and functions, pre-built models for you, which helps you to quickly do the business logic instead of coding on your own. So this way you expedite the creation of complex data and the business logic with the visual tooling. As I said before, you later Ilya would also show you in live how you can integrate the different SAP systems. It works seamlessly, and you would have known about the destinations from the BTP development. If you define it, you could already see it here. And actually, the data might come from an SAP backend behind the firewall, going through Cloud Connector. Still, you could see it in the AppGyver and do a quick preview of your data. And you have a native integration with SAP applications. So this way, it's embedded directly into the cloud. So it's allowing users to seamlessly extend all the cloud capabilities from SAP. And of course, you have a secure access to your SAP and third-party systems because you use the BTP authentication, and you can define a way that your sub-account is trusting your company's identity provider. So this way, you can even log into the Build Apps lobby with your company identity provider and develop the application with your company user. So the end application can also be accessed with your company identity provider and user. So next, now we are coming to the mission scenario. Here I will show you a sample scenario, which you can see today. And I welcome you to think also your own business demands, which would be similar, and how you could fit it to the business needs and develop a quick application. So here we would show you that there is a sales executive who is always on the run on the road. He is meeting different potential business partners, and he wants to analyze the opportunities of these business partners for his company. and he wants to access the information on the go. So he doesn't want to do a VPN connection, get the system, log into the SAP backend, which is running behind the firewall, but he wants a cool new UI, right? So which is simple for him, which filters only the information what he needs. In the same time, this sales executive should be able to see only the relevant information, which is for his region, for example, or for his business role, for example. So you want to actually fetch the relevant information from backend, one fitting for his roles, which is what is exposed to the cloud. So today we will show you how to productively set up the application and also see this on demand. So like you see here on the right, you see the SAP backend. Of course, you can integrate any third-party API endpoints, REST or OData, or other SAP LOB solutions, like I mentioned, SuccessFactors, Ariba, or Fieldglass, but Service Cloud. But today we are showing, in our mission scenario, we are showcasing how you can integrate using either on-prem S/4HANA system or the cloud system. So we have taken the business partner API, and Ilya will later show you that we have, it's a live demo. So he'll show you that through Cloud Connector, our sub account is trusting actually the S/4HANA backend. And then this way, the user can be propagated between different systems. And you also see here on the left that you as a citizen developer, you start building your application. You access the destination, which is configured for you, which is pointing to the API endpoint. And then you build the application, preview it, you like it, and then you want to deploy it to the SAP BTP. So you don't need to understand the complexity of Cloud Foundry or application routers. How do I manage running the application? How do I bring the Cloud Foundry runtime? So you just click on the deploy button to your SAP BTP sub account, and then it's deployed and managed by the HTML5 repository, which comes with the app router. So you don't have to do anything extra. No coding needed. You can just click the deploy button. You would see the application running. And you, of course, you can also then integrate it into your work zone company portal site. This way, you have a unified view of all your applications running in one central place. So next, I will walk you quickly through. So you would now see the Discovery Center, and feel free to create user. It's free of charge. Please start the mission, use it. It's completely free. So you can access the resources. You can read the use case, what I just explained to you. And then you also see here we have the architecture diagram showing the S/4HANA Cloud, or you see the on-prem architecture diagram, what we just saw. And then you see the project board, which talks about the different stages. This is also free. Just go ahead and use it. You can run the whole mission with the free tier or with the sandbox as well. So play around when you in your free time. We provide with the basics of how what do we mean by SAP BTP, how do you develop the applications, what is work zone, and all of the components involved. And we have provided 3 different options for you. So either you have a SAP S/4HANA cloud system, or you have a backend with on-prem system. And if you want to just play around, you can also set up the mock server. So we have provided a Git repository. You can clone it and deploy it, which would act as a SAP backend for you. Or you can take any public API endpoint and still play around with the whole flow. We try to show the whole flow, not just from the hello world perspective, but a productive setup. So we have made sure we have explained to you how you can set up the end-to-end authorization flow. And we have also explained how you configure the trust between different systems like Cloud Connector, sub-account, and your backend. And we also say how you can propagate your user. So we have provided the complete enchilada for you to set up your productive landscape. And of course, once you decide on the option, you can also try to take for the on-prem, you can try to run a system on the SAP Cloud appliance library, we have indicated that in the prerequisites. And then you can develop your application, deploy it, and test it. And you would also see a demo running here in the resources, which you can see how it would look like. And here you see the support tab. You feel free to ask us any questions. Again, we provide the support free of charge. We provide the coaching. Whenever you're blocked or have some questions, feel free to write us a question, and we are glad to support you. You would also see the customer stories who have similarly implemented the mission and is already live with the story. You also see some related missions. So with this, I would like to hand over to Ilya. So enough with talking. Let's see some action and see live demo, how it would look like. Ilya, can you please start sharing?
Yes, thanks a lot, Sangeeta, and I will proceed talking. So let me share my screen. Hopefully soon you will see something.
So while Ilya is setting up, if you guys have any questions for Sangeeta or Ilya, please do type your questions in the chat. There have already been some. So if you want to ask them any questions, please do so in the chat. Thank you. Go ahead.
Perfect. You see my screen, right?
Yeah, we see your screen.
Okay, perfect. Good. So as Sangeeta mentioned, we have different options, but today in this hands-on demo, I will show you how to connect our build apps and build our application with the help of build apps with backend S/4HANA on-premise. So before we start the interesting part, let's connect, or let me show how to connect these systems. So first of all, we will use Cloud Connector to pass by the firewall of the system. And before doing anything with this Cloud Connector, let's show that you should exchange the certificates. So one certificate will be generated here in Cloud Connector. Another certificate will be downloaded from S-Trust and S/4HANA. So they should be exchanged. The allow list should be edited here in Cloud Connector. And also, if you want to use principal propagation to propagate our user from BTP to S/4HANA, then we need to also set the settings for that. In our case, we will use email as a matching point for our user propagation. So then the similar rules should be also set in S/4HANA, where we say that, okay, we log on this email. And also we set some parameters to set the trusted reverse proxy, in this case, Cloud Connector. So this also should be done. And basically that's it with the connection and with the trust configuration. And then what is important also in S/4HANA, we should enable our OData service. So in this demo, we will use business partner, as already said by Sangeeta, business partner API. So this API is enabled. And then we also should be sure that our users, which will be used for communication, have the proper authorization. So in our case, we need to be sure that this Coupa Master Specialist role is assigned to the user. We will use two users. One is technical users for a basic authentication, and also we will have my user, which has the same authorization to showcase a user propagation. Okay, let me then go back to Cloud Connector, or more precise, let me go to SAP BTP and show you how we create a new sub account. So we will use, or I used to create the sub account, I used a booster, so-called booster. So it creates sub account and also makes all entitlements necessary for the services, and also creates roles. So after that, you are completely ready to work with it. And then in Cloud Connector, you should also connect with the sub account and also allow the paths which are used for API communication. So more details can be found in the mission, and check it before you start to work with SAP Build. So Now we are ready for the most interesting part, and let's go to the lobby of Build Apps. And in lobby, we will create a new application, the web application. Let's call it Garage Series Demo. And the first step which will be done here, we should enable BTP authentication to have the access to the backend. And then we need to enable our integration. Before doing this, let's go step back, and let me show you also the most important part of communication in BTP. The sub account. And to connect the backend, we will use these destinations, BTP destinations. This is the most important part of connectivity in SAP BTP, because this hides all the complexity of communication, of connections. And I have two destinations available for my SAP Build Apps. The first one uses basic authentication and my technical user with the password, and principal propagation destination, which uses no users here, and the propagation will be done with my email, as I said before. So if I go back to my Build Apps application, then I make add integration, and I will see two destinations already available from here. So we could use basic for sure. For some scenarios, it makes sense, but I will choose the principal propagation one. And I can already enable the entities from my API. So I will enable business partner and business partner address. You can also check real data here. So to see what data you have in backend, I will just save it and go to Canvas. So this is main tab where I can change anything. So in my first page, I will create the title, business partners. And I also should create a list of business partners. How to populate this list for the table of business partners? So for sure, for this I need to create a data variable, which will also create logics for me, where it will take the data from backend and also set it to this data variable. It also tries to update this data every 5 seconds, but I don't need this logic, so I can delete it. And that's basically it. So now I go back to my canvas and I can say, okay, please repeat this item with my data variable. And now I need to change these labels. So that for the first primary label, I will use business partner full name. And for my secondary label, I will use business partner ID. Okay, so what is cool in Build Apps, you can always also preview your application. We'll select our application, and now hopefully, okay, we will see all the business partners in our system. Perfect. Now we want to click on one item and see all the addresses of this business partner. So for that, I go back and I create a new page. This new page, let's create it there. In this new page, I need to create page parameters, which will be passed by the previous page. And let's call this parameters business partner ID and business partner name. Perfect. Save and go back to our first page. And now we can say, okay, if you click on this list item on the company tab, then we can go to another page. Let's just connect it. And then we say, okay, we navigate to page details and we need to fill these parameters. So I will bind them to my clickable item. So for ID, I use business partner. For the business partner name, I will use full name. And that's basically it for this page. And now go back to our details. And let's delete this one. We don't need it. And for the title, we will use our parameter. And we need to address card or whatever you want. In our case, I will do this also simple. I will also create this list item without arrow visible. And I need also the data variable for that. I will go again to variables, but for this page already, and create a new data variable for the address. I also don't need this update every 5 seconds. But in this time I don't need to read all the addresses from the system. I need to read the specific address of my business partner. So I will use this filter condition. And I say that, okay, the business partner should be equal to our parameter, which we passed to this screen. Data variables, page parameter, ID. Perfect, that's it. And now we go back here and we say, please repeat it with our new variable. Address, fine. And let's bind some primary and secondary label. I will use street name and postal code, which do not make too much sense, but just simple showcase. I will just show you these two fields. Could be something more detailed here for sure. So that's it. Let's check. This page with preview, it's updated every time I press save here. So hopefully it's already updated. Exactly. So for this business partner, I see this address. And you can also go back. You can also go to another business partner. And there will be another address. Perfect. Now our application is ready and we want to build it and to deploy it. So for this, I use Launch tab again, but in this case, I will use Open Build Service.
Ilya?
Yeah?
Hi, just there's just one comment. It seems like you're going a little fast for some of the participants. If you can just maybe slow it down a little.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Perfect. But
okay.
We will have anyway the video, so you can slow it down.
Yeah.
So, but we are basically at the end of this demo, but okay, I will try to do it slowly. So we'll use build service, and then we should press build here, but I will not do this because it takes some time. And for this, I already created another application. This application is here. And build is already done for it. Let me show you. So, okay, I'm on run application again. In this prep application, I did it. So again, we go to build service. And if you did build already and it's delivered, then you have these two buttons. You can download your MTA, your multi-target application, or you can deploy it directly. So if you click deploy, then you can select Cloud Foundry environment and space. But I won't do this because I did it already. And I go back to my BTP sub account. And this application is visible then after deployment in our HTML5 repository. So let's wait a bit, takes also some time. Yeah, now it's maybe even too slow. So again, we can start this application. Exactly. Basically, it's more or less the same one, but I made it more beautiful. Okay, but maybe it's not cool to start this application from this tab. Then what we can do, we can also integrate this application inside Launchpad or Build Work Zone. So for that, in Build Work Zone application, I created a simple site. And for this site, I created a simple group where the application is assigned and also the role for everyone is also contains this application. So as a result, in our newly created site, you can go to it. And we can say again our application, but already in Launchpad. So you can add other applications and not only create it with Build Apps. And then you can go inside, you see also your Launchpad interface, and then the application here. So it's again, takes the data directly from S/4HANA on-premise. Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to show you in my demo. So any questions with this speed development, so you can ask me, I can repeat some steps if necessary.
So Ilya's, Jay Oakley has just typed in a question. Will you recommend using SAP Build, formerly called AppGyver, to build Fiori apps? Or do you still recommend when building new Fiori apps to use Business Application Studio, which is not a low-code, no-code tool?
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, it depends. Yeah, it depends, because if you create a new Fiori application with Fiori elements, it's no code, but the whole behavior is controlled by backend. In this case, in case of Build Apps, you can control this behavior in front end. So it depends what you want in the end, or how you develop your applications.
Okay.
Any other ideas?
Yes, it's depends on the scenario. Of course, you still need the Business Application Studio for building Fiori application. It depends. If you have, for example, different microservices and you want to expose a service as an API endpoint, you can use Cloud Application Programming Model from SAP to quickly build such a service. There was also a question, how do I use the SAP HANA Cloud as persistence? So you can, if your company has all the information in SAP HANA Cloud, you could then build application together, consuming all this, add the business logic, and expose this very quickly as an API using CAP. So Cloud Application Programming Model. This API, you can then consume in your build apps. So this way you just build the UI and then you consume the data coming from this service. So this is an option, for example. So like Ilya said, it depends on case by case scenario.
Okay, great. There's quite a number of questions. So one from Norbert, is it already possible to use BTP authentication also for native mobile apps or the preview app?
At least as of now, maybe I'll link the what's new section. So it is still in development for using the SAP Build apps together with the SAP BTP authentication. As of now, you can use the community edition or using a third-party authentication mechanisms. But if you want the BTP integration for authentication, it's just about to come. It's planned for Q2. So watch the what's new page. I'll paste it in the chat. Feel free to check from time to time to see the latest updates.
Okay. And then I don't know if Michael's question has been answered, but I'll just go through it again. SAP Build does not include Fiori elements and floor plans, correct? And is also not meant to include either in the future. Is that correct?
You can, in SAP Build Apps, you can use Fiori theming, for example. So you can theme your application to have a same look and feel with your other applications, which you have already developed with Business Application Studio. But as of today, there is no direct way to use Fiori elements in SAP Build Apps.
Okay, one from Sachin. Is there code version management?
It is also, Ilya, correct me if I'm wrong. So today you could add different developers in your team into your SAP Build Apps project. You can give permission so you can collaboratively work together on the same project. You can export it, but for SAP Build Apps, the versioning is yet to come. So, but you could use some other mechanisms, right, Ilya?
So basically in Build Apps, you cannot use GitHub, for example, but there is a built-in functionality for history. So you can basically, maybe I can even share my screen again shortly. And you see it. So this is the app which we just created. And I have history here, so you can even roll back some changes. So this is the only version which is available here. I'm not sharing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Yeah. Okay, just to show you. Oh, any other questions?
Yes, there's one from Norbert. Hang on, let's just see which one's. One from Norbert here. Sorry, I just have to scroll up. Yeah, it says technically PostgreSQL is used for persistence layer or cloud functions. Is that correct?
We are not very sure, but maybe, but you don't have direct access to this database. So you have only access through the cloud functions where you define the tables, but you don't directly integrate to the database. And there is one more question asking possible to use relational database directly. What do you think, Ilya? I think currently you need API endpoints, right, to fetch information. That you can't do direct SQL queries from SAP Build Apps. So
right.
For this, you could still use the cloud application programming model, build a service which would directly do these complex queries and joins. It's again pro code, right? If you want to directly use the database, it's not anymore drag and drop, no code. So you would do that. You ask your professional developers in your company to use this data and then expose this again as an API endpoint, consume it from the build apps. So that you can do.
Let's see, quite a number of questions, so keep them coming. We still have another 13 minutes left. So there's one from Luciano, but UI of that app doesn't look like a Fiori app. I don't know if that's a comment, Luciano, or if that's a question. So if it's a question, please elaborate. One from Mike. Can you share the MTA between build and BAS and for Git repositories, etc.?
Yes, you can download the build MTA archive, what is built in the build apps, and then you could store it in the Git, or you could use it in your CI/CD pipeline or something like this. So it's the same in MTA. So I mean the same structure. I mean you haven't, but you don't do anything. You just click on build project, and then pre-built MTA or the MTAR is ready for you. But you can't share the MTA YAMLs, right, Ilya? You don't get to edit it. It's just they're created in the background for you. So you click on build, and then it's on demand. It creates an MTA YAML and builds the project for you using the destinations. You just see the end result MTAR archive, which you could directly deploy to the organization in Cloud Foundry, or you can download it as of today.
Okay. So another one from Sachin. What would be the use case to use SAP Build? Are there limitations, and can we do everything that SAP Fiori can do?
I would say, yeah, for use cases, you can check maybe the help page, maybe more detailed, but it's not, for sure, it's not the same as Fiori can do, because it uses different different components, first of all, and also the different idea behind. So, for example, Build Apps has mobile native features, which Fiori doesn't have. Or vice versa, Fiori has maybe more powerful components. Some of the components are more powerful. So it's hard to compare these two ideas, two approaches.
Okay. So Srikanth, I think, has a sort of an extension to that question. What is the future of SAP Fiori elements to build UI? Is it going away with SAP Build or AppGyver in the future?
No, we are here targeting different audience, right? Of course, I explained in the presentation as well. You would need the professional developers and you would need business application studio to build complex applications, preparing the service for you, where the developers know all the microservice methodologies to develop an enterprise application. This is more for the business users who can quickly build applications. And like we showed, you want to call the business process automation workflows, for example. This is quickly done. There are pre-built integrations possible. So the use case is different. Nothing is going to be replaced. Everything will stay.
Okay. Then another sort of extension to Srikant's question was on SAP Build Workzone Advanced Edition. Is SAP recommending to use SAP Build Workzone Advanced Edition as a Fiori Launchpad instead of the S4 embedded Launchpad?
In the mission, we are showing SAP Build Workzone Standard Edition. But of course, you could also integrate the application in your S4 Launchpad. You can take the end URL and then add it as a tile in your Launchpad as well. And for the advanced edition, maybe I can paste in the chat and you can explore when to use what, depending on the use case.
Okay. Now, a question from Hemant. How accessible are build apps? Are they WCAG compliant for protected B? I don't know. The significance of the B is Hemant, so.
To be honest, I'm not very much aware of this guidelines, what all it has. One thing I can guarantee is it follows all the cloud compliance guidelines, security guidelines, like we do with the normal other SAP services. Build apps goes through the same cycle before they release the software. And we are, like Ilya showed you today, you can develop enterprise-ready applications because you use the existing BTP services, right? Your Build Apps doesn't use anything separately. It's fully integrated into SAP BTP. So this way, whatever is possible today is also possible with Build Apps with the compliance. Mm-hmm. So it would use the destination service, connectivity service. So there is no way that unauthorized access is possible. Depending on how you configure the trust between the systems.
Okay, one from Kushagra. SAP Build is more focused on low code, no code, and VAS or VS Code is focused on more professional developers. Is that correct?
Yes, I would say so. Yeah. And of course, you could also be a professional developer, but you would want to quickly consume your service, right? And you want to quickly have the application, like Ilya mentioned, mobile ready, or you want to use the drag and drop filter functions, pre-built formulas from Build Apps. You want to trigger the workflows in sub-build process automation. So it's not just for citizen developers. It's also for professional developers. Depends on your use case. Yeah.
Another one from Sachin. Is it possible to deploy SAP Build applications on-prem?
On-prem? No, we don't recommend doing that because our main ideology is to keep the core clean, right? So of course, on S4HANA, you can use the existing key user extensibility features to maybe define your custom CDS views or define custom business objects. But it doesn't make sense for you to deploy the application again on SAP backend. Why would you do that? You already have BTP managing all of this functionality. So you would run the application on BTP, just integrate it into your on-premise launchpad, which is in S4HANA. This you could do.
So another one from Volkan. Will SAP Build Apps replace MDK in the future?
No, I don't think so. They would use internally maybe the features. We are still they are working on the concepts, but there is no plan to replace MDK or something. It has its own set of use cases.
Mm-hmm. Okay, another one from Srikant. Can we build any analytical apps using AppGyver?
Yes, we can link you some blogs which shows you how you can build some charts, graphs, and dashboards using SAP Build Apps. Little more complex scenario. Today we showed you more the integration and the complete setup, but there are a lot of blogs outside. We'll just link it in the chat.
Okay. Another one from Sachin. Is it possible to access SAP Build Apps from the SAP Launchpad from on-prem gateway?
You can access the Build Apps lobby where you build your applications through Cloud Foundry BTP sub account. There you can build your application, visually view it. You cannot view this Build Apps from your on-prem lobby. It's part of the BTP environment.
Okay. Another one from Michael. Is SAP Build also meant to replace build.me, which was used for prototyping only?
Sorry for this. We are not aware of anything replacing. I mean, if Build Me is replaced. Ilya, do you have any comment on that? No, we have to follow up on this. I don't know.
Okay. Another one, one from Julio. Does SAP Build Apps follow the Fiori design guidelines?
Yes, Fiori theming is on the topic, and now the New Horizon theming will also be coming up soon, integrated with Build Apps. So today, Ilya showed you the demo with the standard theming, right? Of course, you can go and select the theme as Fiori theme, and then you would see it. Apart from that, you can't use the Fiori elements or direct Fiori in SAP Build Apps.
Okay. Another one from Sachin. Can SAP Build Apps have user concurrency user limits? Can it support high concurrency, say 5,000 concurrent users?
We personally have not done, at least me and Ilya, we are not aware of this performance guidelines. We have to check with the product team on this. But as I said, you are deploying on BTP HTML5 application repository, right? You don't handle the scaling, as we said. So SAP does that for you, and the repository is highly available. So it should be also then possible, but we have to follow up on this question.
Okay, so another one from Volkan. If you take the URL of an app and embed it, example, into your S/4HANA Cloud Launchpad, can you open the app in place or still a new tab?
I haven't checked recently. At least earlier it was opening it in a new tab, I remember. I'm not sure after this work zone renaming and all of this, we are not very sure about this. We have just showed in our mission how you can integrate into the work zone standard edition, which is on the cloud. We don't show up on the on-prem side. We can cross-check, and maybe if you can post a question on all of these open questions in the support tab as well, you also get a reply, or we'll try to post it later.
Okay, and Edmund, yes, the recording will be made available. I'll be sharing that after this call. One from Jay Oakley: does SAP Build create native apps, or is it more of a hybrid compared to an app built using SAP BTP iOS SDK, which is truly native?
Ilya, do you have an answer for this?
I would say that it will be native, but I'm not 100% sure here, because for authentication SDK will be used, right? So I cannot answer here. Sorry.
Yeah,
we should follow this development.
Okay. So Jay Oakley, if you want, I have put Sangeeta's and Ilya's contact information in the chat. If you want to follow up with them afterwards, maybe they'll be able to get you an answer after the session is over. And then the last question from Guy, because we are at the top of the hour. Does the Build app completely run in the browser and all connections are data routed through BTP to other destinations like S4 if necessary? And scalability is as usual regarding maintaining connections or OData.
What we saw today is the Build app composer. It's like design time environment, right? So this runs on the browser like Business Application Studio. Once you preview and deploy the application to BTP, it's running on BTP HTML5 application repository. It is following the standard guidelines from BTP. So of course, then the data is routed through BTP. With all the security, client secrets, and OAuth credentials, all of this is there.
Okay.
It's also possible to connect to APIs directly from Build Apps, so not using BTP authentication or any other. But then you should be aware of doing this manually or somehow different. It's possible.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sangeeta and Ilya, for an amazing session. Seems like there's been a lot of interest, and it's thought-provoking session with a lot of these questions that people have been asking. Hopefully, Ilya and Sangeeta have been able to answer most of your questions. Maybe popped a few new questions in your mind. I have put everybody their contact information in the chat, so if you want to reach back out to them after this session, please do so. The recording for today's session will be made available along with their presentation material. Thank you again, Ilya and Sangeeta. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. Join us again in June for our 6th episode for the SAP Garage series. Thank you so much. Have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're located. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.